And also I do believe that 360 is merely the start of the process. I mean, I use it with psychometrics.
So whether there's a follow-through process is another
Absolutely.
process.
But you see, I mean, that's so different when you take data out. I mean, I think if it's a one-to-one in-depth coaching relationship, I think it would be more appropriate to leave whatever's said in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's deal with it.
Yes.
If it's a blanket of 360 that's being, and that's lots of people without necessarily detailed one-to-one follow-up, then, you know, I suppose it's about whose responsibility.
It's whose responsibility, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say something, won't you?
I don't know whether I'm taking a different point of perspective on this, because
I hope you do. That's what this is about.
So from my perspective, again, and I'll refer back to when we were kind of working on design, I was coming from the point, if it's going to cause more harm than good,
Yeah.
it's not in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whether it's a process flow, whether it's a question, whether it's like,
But
if we
I
know
guess
that,
the
just
habit-
sorry, finish. Just, I mean, it's fine.
That's all.
I don't need to be harsh with my feedback, if that's okay. If I could just, great.
I can see some coaching coming. Okay.
Yeah, so, and I just wonder how, I think this is a really critical issue. Is, if it is going to, because the mind again, and with lots of psychologists and coaches in the room, it can just pick up on one word in a list of comments that are, thousands of comments saying one thing, and there's one comment that says completely the opposite, and the mind can pick up on it. It's like, that's how I am. And so for me, it's a really fine line.
So actually, yes.
Between, being mindful about what we create, in order to facilitate some growth, but actually the huge potential it has to cause problems.
Yes.
If you're one-to-one coaching someone, their reaction to the feedback is part of what you're coaching them on.
Yes.
So if there is 99% positive
I
comments
think
and
this
they've
is where
zoned in on one of the on the one negative comment, and that's the only thing that they can talk about, that's what you're coaching them on, isn't it? Really, not the data and the feedback. You're coaching them on why is it that that's the thing that's taken them over.
One of the first questions I always ask, can I normally give the report in advance, 24 hours in advance, I allow the individual to read the report. I know it's a discussion point, it's whether you do it, but I always have. And when they come into the room, we go through what the process is going to be and how we're going to deal with the report and how we're going to feed it back. When you ask them, what have you read in the report, what have you seen? They will list every negative comment in that report, as they have seen it. And then you say, what about the positives? Well, there are a couple of nice things. They don't see the strengths. And that, I think, is where the coaching comes in, and that's why I think feedback's so important, is because you concentrate on, well, actually, let's look at the positives. Let's look at what the good things are here. What are your strengths? And okay, you can deal with some elements of areas where they may need development, and if there is a particular one thing, you can deal with it. But you're absolutely right. You need to take their focus away just from the negative, because it's human nature. Yeah. When I used to get appraisal reports from my boss, I would sit and read my report or whatever, and I would walk out, and my ex-wife would say, "What did you say about you?" Well, he said, "I wasn't doing this enough, wasn't doing that." What was this stuff? Don't remember. Because I think you just focus in on the negative. The brain does.
So, just to come back to critical parts of the process, one of the things you mentioned is that who's responsible for the process, actually, and there's a judgment call to be made about some of these issues. Depending on the support that's offered, the support that's available.
I'm not saying that discomfort is entirely unuseful. I don't want to give the impression that it's not, just show everybody how fantastic they are. I'm not.
That's not
I'm
what
saying
I'm
is,
saying.
just want to share that, because you could argue, well, discomfort, all of it leads in some way to development, great. So
we're all in the discomfort business. Let's get honest with it.
So my point is about, we have to make some really fine judgment calls, I think.
There are judgment calls to be made.
So I've got an interesting question, which is when you do spot things in a report, do you automatically edit it, or do you talk to the client who's managing the feedback and say, do you want me to
They
remove
usually
it?
go in the team first and then make a
Try
judgment
to,
call.
and then we make a judgment, and it depends on the client,
For
example, where her husband had died and decided committed suicide, and people referenced it in the feedback.
And that was why she was acting a certain way at work, and they just kept bringing it up, and that was a bit.
It's just really unusual personal stuff coming up.
Yeah.
But usually, if it's if it's not completely obvious what to do, we will talk with the client and work it out in a partnership. Yeah, that's what we will do. And there is an aspect of editing comments which might be worth mentioning, which is sometimes it's just a matter of correcting spelling.
Yeah.
Now, for some of our clients, this is really, really important because people get the outputs, and if there's spelling errors in it, even if it's their reviewers, and they've been told it's their reviewers who typed in the spelling errors, people are very lazy with writing these days, and they can have lots of spelling errors, and it just feels a completely substandard output because it's misspelled the whole way through. So for some of our clients, that's what we do. We edit the spelling, but we don't much edit any meaning. And we say, and the key thing is about telling people that's what you're going to do.
But that's a massive added value. I don't know anyone else that does.
I don't think anybody. It's a big deal.
I don't know anyone else that checks.
It's a big deal, isn't it, to do that? It's definitely has a
And
big job doing
we
it.
started to see text speak coming in. I've seen a couple of 360s,
Yeah.
which is text speak because it's generation
Yeah.
iOS, whatever they
Whatever
are.
generation.
And they talk like my son writes. And you know, everything's 3 letters or 4, maximum. And I've got to work it out from there.
Yeah,
And
I know.
I've seen the 360 where I went, okay, I don't actually understand the word that's been said here.
Can we talk about this giving the report in advance? Sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I think it's important to note that you haven't put on there yet, just an area called interaction with talent innovations.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or whatever the company is that's doing the 360.
Yeah, the right.
Or bureau, or whatever.
Yeah,
I think it's quite important that.
bureau interaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
The coordination, because there's a management of a process to have to happen, whoever's doing it, and that is a critical part of the process.
And I would support that because you have such a fantastic system. Is that camera still on? You've got such a fantastic system, and that check was well worth it. But it's a system that makes it easy for the response, and that is so important. You know, I've seen 360s where people get a disk to do it on, or they handwrite it, or they get a system where they can't log in, or it logs them out halfway through, and you go, I can't bother with this. And all of a sudden you've lost valuable feedback. Whereas the system that you've got is so easy to use that people love it. And I used to get comments back saying, this is the best 360 I've ever been involved in. It's so easy.
That's another point of the actual IT side.
Yeah, so the IT
interface,
yes. Going back to my key question, I'm determined to get information on this because I really want to know your feedback. How should you deal with the whole giving of the, when do you time the giving of the report? If you're going to give them a feedback coaching session, right? You're going to give them one. Do you want to send it 2 days before, 1 day before, or you're walking in with it and handing it to them? Give it an hour before. There's all sorts of options. What do you think?
24 hours.
You're a 24-hour guy.
But one of the things I support that with is the fact that I'm normally on my 3rd session with the individual by the time I do a 360. I'll have done 2 coaching sessions with them. One was probably Myers-Briggs.
Right.
One maybe Hogan. And the 360 is so valuable when you're doing Hogan and Dark Side.
Right.
Because it will start, they'll sit there and say, oh, no, I don't think I do that. And you're able to go, well, actually, in your 360, funnily enough, this is what people are seeing of you. But, so I know then the client well enough to know, can they have it 24 hours in advance, or actually I'm going to walk in with this.
So you
I 99%, maybe 98% get it 24 hours in advance.
I would just say, before, I had never given them before.
Right.
And the last project I did, I gave them before, and to me it was staggering how much better it was.
Wow.
Completely different, because, and I've also, it's been partly informed by